In 1917, in the small Portuguese village of Fatima, three shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos, Francisco Marto, and Jacinta Marto, claimed to have witnessed a series of miraculous apparitions of the Virgin Mary. Over the course of 6 months, the children received 3 prophetic messages, later known as the 3 Secrets of Fatima. These revelations would go on to become one of the greatest mysteries in Catholic history, sparking intrigue, speculation, and deep controversy within the Vatican itself. At first, few believed their story. But on October 13, 1917, an event occurred that shocked the world, the miracle of the sun. Witnessed by tens of thousands of people, including journalists and skeptics, the sun appeared to spin, change colors, and even descend toward the earth before returning to its normal position. This event solidified Fatima's significance and gave credibility to the children's visions. Soon after, the Catholic Church formally recognized the apparitions, but what truly shook the world were the secrets revealed to the children. These messages, they claimed, contained divine warnings about the fate of humanity, some of which were so terrifying that the Vatican refused to reveal them for decades. The first secret was a vision of hell, showing souls tormented in flames, meant as a warning about the consequences of sin. The second secret predicted the outbreak of World War II and the rise of communism, warning that Russia would spread its errors across the world unless it was consecrated to the Virgin Mary. The third secret, the most mysterious of all, was not revealed to the public for over 80 years, leading many to believe that the Vatican was hiding something too shocking for humanity to know. When Pope John XXIII read the third secret in 1960, he refused to release it, stating that it was not meant for his time. The decision to keep it hidden only fueled speculation that the secret contained a prophecy so disturbing that the Church feared its consequences. Some believed it foretold a nuclear catastrophe, the end of the world, or even a great spiritual crisis within the Vatican itself. As the years passed, various popes and high-ranking clergy read the secret, but none dared to reveal it. The Vatican's secrecy surrounding the prophecy gave rise to countless theories, some suggesting that the true secret had been altered, while others claimed that it foretold a deep corruption within the Church, one that had already begun to unfold. Then in the year 2000, the Vatican finally published what it claimed to be the full third secret. According to the official document, the prophecy contained a vision of a bishop in white walking through a devastated city, surrounded by corpses, before being executed by soldiers. The Vatican interpreted this as a prediction of the 1981 assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II, stating that the prophecy had already been fulfilled. But many were unconvinced. Did the Vatican really release the full prophecy, or was it altered to protect the Church's reputation? Several prominent clergy, including Cardinal Ratzinger, who later became Pope Benedict XVI, hinted that the real third secret contained a far more alarming message, one that involved a crisis within the Church itself. The controversy surrounding the third secret of Fatima remains one of the most debated religious mysteries of all time. The question still lingers. Was the Vatican protecting the faithful from an unbearable truth, or was it covering up a prophecy that could have changed history? As we move forward, we will examine the first 2 secrets and how their fulfillment only deepened the mystery of the missing prophecy that the Vatican tried to keep hidden. The visions of Fatima were not only a religious event, but a series of prophecies that seemed to predict real-world events with astonishing accuracy. While the third secret remains shrouded in controversy, the first and second secrets were revealed decades ago and have since been interpreted as warnings of catastrophic events that later came to pass. But were these prophecies truly divine revelations, or were they carefully shaped to fit historical events? And if the first 2 secrets were fulfilled, does that mean the third secret is yet to come true? The first secret, a vision of hell, The first secret of Fatima was revealed by the Vatican in 1941. According to Lucia dos Santos, the oldest of the three visionaries, the Virgin Mary showed them a terrifying vision of hell, describing it in chilling detail. Lucia's account: "We saw a sea of fire, and in that fire, demons and lost souls. The latter were like transparent burning embers, floating in the flames amid cries of pain and despair." The message was clear. This was the fate that awaited sinners who turned away from God. The vision was meant as a warning, a call for repentance and conversion to prevent souls from being lost for eternity. For believers, this reinforced the Catholic teaching on sin and punishment. However, skeptics argue that visions of hell were common in religious narratives, and that this prophecy did not predict a specific event, but rather played into existing doctrines. Yet, what followed next was a prophecy that seemed to foretell one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. The second secret, the prophecy of war and communism. The second secret was also revealed in 1941 and was far more specific than the first. It warned of a great war if people did not turn back to God. The war will soon end, but if people do not stop offending God, a worse war will break out under the reign of Pius X. To prevent this, I shall come to ask for the consecration of Russia to my Immaculate Heart. If my requests are heeded, Russia will be converted, and there will be peace. If not, she will spread her errors throughout the world, causing wars and persecution of the Church. At first glance, this prophecy seemed remarkably accurate. World War I ended in 1918, but just 2 decades later, the world was plunged into an even deadlier conflict, World War II, which began in 1939. Even more striking was the warning about Russia spreading its errors, interpreted as a reference to the rise of Soviet communism and its global influence. However, some historians and skeptics argue that this prophecy may have been written after the events had already started unfolding. Pope Pius V reigned from 1922 to 1939, meaning that when World War II officially began, he was still alive, but only for a few months. Was this a case of an incredibly precise prediction, or was the prophecy retouched or interpreted in hindsight? The reference to Russia spreading errors was linked to the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, but at the time of the visions, Soviet communism was still in its infancy. Some believe that the explicit mention of Russia could have been added later to align with historical events. The prophecy demanded the consecration of Russia, which the Vatican never properly fulfilled, according to some traditionalist Catholics. Despite multiple papal attempts at consecration, the Soviet Union continued its expansion for decades, raising the question of whether the prophecy was truly followed as instructed. Did these prophecies truly predict the future? For believers, the fulfillment of these prophecies proves the divine nature of the Fatima revelations. They argue that the detailed warnings about war and communism were too precise to be mere coincidence. For skeptics, however, there are key issues. The war prophecy was vague, warning that a worse war would come if people did not convert, something that could have been expected given political tensions. The mention of Russia seemed too specific, suggesting possible modification of the prophecy after communism had already begun spreading. The call for consecration of Russia was never properly completed, meaning that even if the prophecy was true, its conditions were not fully met. But while debate over these two secrets continues, one thing is clear. If the first two secrets were fulfilled, then the third secret still holds an unresolved mystery. Could it be that the worst part of the prophecy, the true danger to humanity, was hidden by the Vatican? As we now turn to the third secret of Fatima, we must ask, did the Vatican suppress the truth to protect the world from panic? Or did they hide something that could expose a deep crisis within the Church itself? For decades, the third secret of Fatima has been the subject of intense speculation, controversy, and conspiracy theories. Unlike the first two secrets, which were revealed in 1941, the third secret remained hidden for more than 80 years, leading many to believe that its contents were too shocking, too dangerous, or too destabilizing for the Vatican to release. When it was finally revealed in the year 2000, many were left doubtful, even outraged. The official version seemed cryptic, incomplete, and lacking the apocalyptic urgency that many expected. Was this truly the full prophecy given to the children of Fatima? Or did the Vatican alter, withhold, or even fabricate part of the revelation to protect its own interests? What was officially released? In 2000, under the leadership of Pope John Paul II and Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, later Pope Benedict XVI, the Vatican finally unveiled what it claimed was the full third secret of Fatima. The prophecy, as published, described a bishop dressed in white, interpreted as the Pope, walking through a devastated city filled with corpses before being executed by soldiers with bullets and arrows. The martyrdom of religious figures and the destruction of a ruined world. A vision of an angel with a flaming sword, warning of divine punishment, but also offering a call to repentance. According to the Vatican, this vision was a symbolic representation of the persecution of the Church, particularly the 1981 assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. The Church insisted that the prophecy had already been fulfilled, closing the case on Fatima. But was this really the true third secret? Many clergy, scholars, and even eyewitnesses suggested otherwise. Why do people believe the third secret was altered? Despite the Vatican's claims, many contradictions and inconsistencies in the official narrative have raised serious doubts. Sister Lucia's own words do not match. Before the third secret was revealed, Sister Lucia, the last surviving visionary, reportedly hinted that the message contained grave warnings about a spiritual catastrophe inside the Church. Yet the version published in 2000 focused on external persecution, not internal corruption. A key discrepancy that many believe suggests part of the prophecy was omitted. Pope John XXIII's refusal to reveal it in 1960. When Pope John XXIII read the third secret in 1960, he refused to make it public, stating that the world was not ready for it. If the prophecy was only about the Pope surviving an assassination attempt, why would it have been considered too shocking in 1960, 21 years before the attack even happened? Testimonies from high-ranking clergy Cardinal Ratzinger, Pope Benedict XVI, once hinted that the real third secret warned of a deep spiritual crisis within the Church itself, something not mentioned in the official version. Archbishop Loris Capovilla, the secretary to Pope John XXIII, allegedly confirmed that two different versions of the third secret existed, one that was released and another that remains locked away in the Vatican archives. Father Malachi Martin, a Jesuit priest with access to Vatican secrets, claimed that the actual prophecy predicted a massive apostasy within the Catholic Church, leading many to abandon their faith. These contradictions strongly suggest that the Vatican either altered, withheld, or manipulated part of the third secret before presenting it to the public. What could the Vatican be hiding? If the real third secret was never fully revealed, what might it have contained? Several theories have emerged, each more unsettling than the last. One, a warning of apostasy within the Church. Many believe that the true third secret warned of a crisis in the Vatican itself, a loss of faith among high-ranking clergy, leading to corruption and deviation from the true teachings of Christianity. This theory is supported by Cardinal Chiappi, who once said, "The third secret predicts that the great apostasy will begin at the top." 2. The rise of a false pope, or the Antichrist. Within the Church, some interpretations suggest that the third secret warned of a deception, that a powerful religious figure would lead millions astray, presenting himself as a leader of faith while working against Christianity from within. Could the prophecy have predicted a dark pope, or even a Vatican, controlled by forces working against the true teachings of Christ? 3. The End Times and the Fall of the Catholic Church. Some speculate that the true third secret warned of a complete collapse of the Church, possibly due to scandal, internal corruption, or divine punishment. The angel with a flaming sword could symbolize a final judgment upon the Vatican itself, something the Church would never want to admit publicly. 4. A cataclysmic event, possibly a global disaster. There are claims that the full prophecy may have predicted a catastrophic global event, a war, a great chastisement, or even the end of civilization as we know it. This would explain why Pope John XXIII believed the world was not ready for it. The Vatican's dilemma. Why hide the truth? If the third secret truly contained a prophecy so devastating, why would the Vatican suppress or alter it? The answer may lie in self-preservation. To prevent global panic, if the secret predicted an impending apocalypse or the destruction of the Church, revealing it could have caused widespread fear, hysteria, and loss of faith. To protect Church authority, if the prophecy suggested corruption within the Vatican, it could have shaken the foundation of the Catholic Church, possibly causing a loss of credibility and mass exodus of believers. To maintain control over the narrative, by selectively releasing information, the Vatican could shape how the prophecy was interpreted, ensuring it did not lead to doubt or rebellion against the institution. What happens if the full secret is ever revealed? For now, the true third secret of Fatima remains one of the greatest religious mysteries of all time. But what if it is one day exposed? Would it confirm that the Vatican lied to protect its power? Would it prove that we are on the verge of a global catastrophe? Would it reveal that we have already entered the end times? There are persistent rumors that a longer, more detailed version of the third secret still exists, hidden in the depths of the Vatican archives. If it ever comes to light, it could change everything we thought we knew about Fatima, the Catholic Church, and the future of humanity. As we continue, we must now ask, who within the Vatican made the decision to keep this prophecy hidden? And what did they fear would happen if the world knew the truth? If the true third secret of Fatima was indeed suppressed, one of the most pressing questions is, who had the power to conceal it, and what was their motive? Throughout history, the Catholic Church has carefully managed which revelations are made public and which remain locked away. Could it be that the third secret was so explosive that revealing it would have destabilized the Church, caused mass panic, or even exposed deep corruption within the Vatican itself? The decision to withhold or manipulate the third secret wasn't made lightly. Over the decades, several popes, cardinals, and Vatican officials were involved in determining what the world could and could not know. By examining their actions and statements, we can uncover clues about what they were trying to hide. The popes who chose secrecy. Pope John XXIII, 1958-1963, the first to read and suppress the secret. When John XXIII read the third secret in 1960, he reportedly turned pale and refused to make it public. Instead, he issued a statement declaring that the prophecy did not concern his time and locked it away in the Vatican archives. Why did he believe the world wasn't ready for it? Did he fear that revealing the prophecy would challenge the Church's authority or shake the faith of millions? Pope Paul VI, 1963-1978, continued the silence. Pope Paul VI also had access to the third secret, but chose not to reveal it. According to some reports, he was deeply troubled after reading it, yet he followed the same path as his predecessor, keeping the secret hidden from the world. Pope John Paul II, 1978-2005, finally released a version in 2000. But was it the full truth? John Paul II was nearly assassinated in 1981, an event the Vatican later linked to the third secret. In 2000, he approved the release of what the Vatican claimed was the full prophecy, but many, including clergy members, suspected that parts had been removed. Key Vatican figures who may have altered the prophecy: Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, later Pope Benedict XVI, the Vatican's chief theologian at the time; As prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, Ratzinger played a major role in handling the release of the Third Secret in 2000. However, in a 1984 interview, he hinted that the real prophecy warned of dangers to the faith and great spiritual trials, details that were missing from the official version. After becoming Pope Benedict XVI, he later made a cryptic statement suggesting that the Third Secret had not been fully disclosed. Archbishop Loris Capovilla, the Pope's secretary who knew too much? He served as personal secretary to Pope John XXIII and allegedly confirmed that there were two different versions of the Third Secret, one that was published and one that remained locked away. According to Vatican insiders, the secret contained terrifying revelations that the Church did not want the public to know. Father Malachi Martin, the Jesuit insider who spoke out. A former Vatican insider with access to classified church documents, Malachi Martin claimed to have read the real Third Secret. Before his death, he suggested that the prophecy warned of a major spiritual deception within the Vatican itself. Why would the Vatican hide the truth? If the real Third Secret was too dangerous to reveal, what exactly did it contain? Theories suggest that it could have exposed a great apostasy within the Church. Some believe that the Third Secret warned of high-ranking clergy abandoning the true faith and corrupting the Church from within. If this were true, it could explain why multiple popes refused to release it. Revealing such a prophecy could have triggered a crisis of faith, revealed a false pope, or the rise of the Antichrist. Some interpretations suggest that the Third Secret foretold a dark pope or a leader who would betray Christianity from within. This could explain why Pope John XXIII was visibly shaken after reading it. Was he afraid that he or his successors were implicated in the prophecy? Predicted the collapse of the Catholic Church. There are theories that the true Third Secret warned of the Church's downfall due to moral and spiritual decay. If this were the case, revealing it could have weakened the Vatican's control over its followers, leading to a mass exodus of believers. Foretold, a catastrophic event that the Vatican feared would cause panic. Some speculate that the secret predicted a global catastrophe, war, natural disasters, or divine punishment. If this were true, the Vatican may have withheld it to prevent mass hysteria. Did the Vatican archive hide the truth? There are persistent rumors that a more detailed version of the Third Secret still exists, hidden deep within the Vatican Apostolic Archive. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, formerly known as the Vatican Secret Archive, is one of the most mysterious and restricted collections of documents in the world. It contains papal records, ancient manuscripts, and classified reports that have never been made public. Only a handful of scholars have been granted access to the archives, and even they are heavily restricted on what they can see. Could the real Third Secret still be locked away in these vaults? And if so, will it ever be revealed? What would happen if the truth came out? If the real Third Secret of Fatima were ever revealed, its impact could be catastrophic for the Catholic Church and change religious history forever. Would it confirm that the Vatican lied to its followers for decades? Would it prove that we are living in the end times? Would it expose corruption at the highest levels of the Church? For now, the Vatican maintains its official narrative, but the contradictions, missing details, and insider testimonies tell a different story. As we move forward, we must now ask, what does the Third Secret truly warn us about? And are we already seeing the prophecy unfold in today's world? The controversy surrounding the Third Secret of Fatima has led to one inevitable question: what exactly is the Vatican hiding? For decades, the Church has controlled the narrative, carefully releasing only selected information while dismissing speculation about a more disturbing truth. But when we examine the statements of high-ranking clergy, leaked reports, and the broader context of global events, a pattern begins to emerge. One that suggests the Vatican may have kept the most critical part of the prophecy hidden. Could the real third secret contain a final warning that humanity has ignored? And more disturbingly, could we already be seeing the prophecy unfold today? Theories about the true third secret. Many believe that the Vatican's version of the prophecy was altered or incomplete, with the most shocking elements carefully removed before being shown to the world. Several theories have emerged regarding what was truly revealed to the children of Fatima in 1917. Theory 1, the Great Apostasy, a collapse of faith within the Church. One of the most widespread theories is that the third secret warned of a massive spiritual crisis within the Vatican itself. Some clergy, including Cardinal Chiappi, stated that the prophecy described a time when the faith would disappear at the highest levels of the Church. If true, this would mean that the very institution meant to preserve Christianity would be leading people away from the truth, something the Vatican could never admit publicly. Theory 2, the Antichrist within the Church. Another interpretation suggests that the third secret prophesied the rise of a false leader within the Catholic Church. Some believe it could have warned of a dark pope, a figure who would appear to be a servant of God, but would instead usher in deception, heresy, and destruction. This could explain why popes refused to reveal the full prophecy in 1960. If it implicated a future church leader, it would have caused a crisis of faith too great to control. Theory 3, a great chastisement, a catastrophic global event. Some researchers believe that the true third secret warned of divine punishment, a catastrophic event that would devastate the world. This could mean war, natural disasters, or even celestial phenomena. There are even claims that high-ranking church officials feared revealing this prophecy because it could cause mass hysteria. Clues from church insiders and leaked information. Over the years, multiple Vatican insiders and clergy members have hinted that the real third secret was never fully disclosed. Cardinal Ratzinger, Pope Benedict XVI. In a 1984 interview, Ratzinger admitted that the real third secret contained alarming revelations about the faith. When asked why it hadn't been released, he stated that it was to prevent sensationalism, but what could be so dangerous that it had to be hidden for decades? Father Malachi Martin, a former Jesuit priest who worked in the Vatican, Malachi Martin claimed to have read the real third secret. He described it as horrific and suggested that it predicted a time when the church would be infiltrated by deception. Martin was known for his outspoken criticism of the Vatican's secrecy, and before his death, he warned that the consequences of the suppressed prophecy would soon be seen in the world. Archbishop Loris Capovilla, the former secretary to Pope John XXIII, allegedly confirmed that there were two versions of the third secret, one for public release and one that remains hidden. If this is true, then the official version published in 2000 may have been edited or incomplete. Are we living the prophecy right now? Perhaps the most terrifying question is, has the prophecy already begun? Many researchers believe that signs of the third secret's warning are already appearing in today's world. A spiritual crisis in the Church? In recent years, the Catholic Church has been shaken by scandals, corruption, and declining faith. Reports of heresy within high-ranking clergy, financial misconduct, and division among church leaders suggest a deep internal crisis, possibly the very apostasy that the third secret predicted. Global unrest and conflict. The world is seeing an increase in war, political instability, and religious persecution. Some believe that these conflicts mirror the warnings given in the first two secrets and indicate that the final phase of the prophecy is beginning. Unusual celestial and natural events. Some interpretations suggest that natural disasters, strange celestial activity, and climate extremes could be signs of a great chastisement. In recent years, there has been an increase in rare astronomical events, leading some to wonder, are these warnings from above? The Vatican's dilemma. Why hide the truth? If the third secret is still hidden, the Vatican is likely facing an impossible choice. If they reveal the full prophecy, it could confirm that they have been lying for decades. If they continue to suppress it, they risk losing credibility as more people question their motives. If the prophecy is about a catastrophic event, they may fear causing mass panic, but secrecy always fuels suspicion, and the more the Vatican resists full disclosure, the more people believe that the truth is far worse than we can imagine. What happens if the truth comes out? If the real third secret were to be revealed, it could change the course of history. Would it confirm that the Vatican has been infiltrated and is no longer the true guardian of faith? Would it prove that we are living in the final days foretold in prophecy? Would it trigger a global reckoning that forces people to confront hidden truths about religion, power, and the fate of humanity? For now, the lost prophecy of Fatima remains one of the greatest religious mysteries of all time. But if the true message is ever uncovered, it could mean that the world is standing on the edge of a revelation unlike anything we have ever known. As we move into the final chapter, we must ask, is there still hope of discovering the full prophecy? Or will the truth remain locked away forever? For more than a century, the prophecies of Fatima have captivated the world, sparking devotion, controversy, and relentless speculation. But the greatest mystery of all, the true contents of the third secret, remains unresolved. Despite the Vatican's official disclosure in 2000, many believe that the real prophecy was either altered or only partially revealed. But is there still a way to uncover the full truth? Could the real third secret still exist somewhere, waiting to be exposed? And if so, what would happen if it finally came to light? Could the real third secret still be found? Even after the Vatican's public version of the prophecy, multiple sources suggest that the complete third secret is still hidden. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, a vault of suppressed knowledge. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, formerly known as the Vatican Secret Archive, is one of the most restricted collections of documents in the world. It contains classified church records, papal documents, and suppressed religious texts, many of which have never been released to the public. Some believe that a longer, more detailed version of the third secret remains locked away deep within this archive, possibly in a sealed envelope only accessible to the Pope and a select few cardinals. Monastic libraries and lost manuscripts. Throughout history, early Christian manuscripts have been found hidden in monasteries, underground chambers, and forgotten archives. Some researchers believe that an older, unaltered version of the third secret may still exist somewhere outside the Vatican's control, possibly in a remote religious order or Eastern Orthodox archive. Insiders who still hold the truth. Before their deaths, several high-ranking clergy members hinted at knowing more about the prophecy than was publicly released. Could there still be living witnesses, priests, archivists, or cardinals who have seen the real third secret and are waiting for the right moment to speak out? If such evidence were to surface, it could force the Vatican to confront the truth once and for all. Why would the Vatican keep it hidden? If the real third secret still exists, the Vatican's ongoing secrecy suggests that its contents are far more disturbing than what has been revealed. To avoid a crisis of faith. If the prophecy confirmed deep corruption or a false leader within the church, it could lead to a mass exodus of believers, shaking the foundations of Catholicism itself. To prevent global panic. If the real prophecy predicted a catastrophic event, revealing it could cause widespread fear and social unrest. To protect Vatican power. If the prophecy suggested that the Vatican deliberately altered religious teachings, it could damage the Church's credibility beyond repair. These are serious stakes, which may explain why every pope who has read the real third secret has chosen to remain silent, or worse, alter the truth. What happens if the true secret is exposed? If the real third secret is ever revealed, its impact could be earth-shattering. Would it confirm that the Vatican has been lying for over a century? Would it prove that we are already living in the end times? Would it force millions to question their faith and institutions of power? The Vatican has carefully controlled the narrative for decades, but history has shown that secrets never stay buried forever. Perhaps the real prophecy of Fatima will one day come to light, and when it does, it may change everything we thought we knew about faith, prophecy, and the fate of humanity. Final thought: if the truth has been hidden for this long, what are they really afraid of? And will we ever uncover the full prophecy before it's too late? What do you think? Could the true third secret still be out there?